everyone. I'm so glad to see you all again. Today we're going to be doing sound part 2. I hope you watched part 1 and understood everything there so that you can understand better in sound part 2. So let's get started. Musical sound and noise. So when we hear the term musical sound, what do we think? We think that that is the sound produced by a guitar or a violin, sitar or a piano, or all sorts of those instruments. So musical sound is produced by regular and periodic vibrations. So we already know what vibrations are, and we know that sound is produced through vibrations. So what are regular and periodic vibrations? So if this is a particle that is vibrating, if the vibrations are regular like this and periodic, it means that the amplitude or the loudness is not drastically increasing or decreasing, and it is not very loud. So that is termed as musical sound. An example of musical sound would be sound from a guitar, sound from a piano, or even a human singing. So if I were to sing, even though I don't know how to sing at all, but if I were to sing, it would also be termed as musical sound. Now let's come to noise. When we hear this term noise, we usually think of something that we don't like to hear, or will actually give us a headache for the point. As can be seen in this picture, this person is getting a headache and doesn't want to hear all that sound. So noise is produced by irregular vibrations. So we already know what vibrations are and what regular and periodic vibrations are. So what are irregular vibrations? Vibrations whose amplitude is constantly changing, either changing drastically. So it's irritating to the ears and is very loud. So an example of this can be noise produced by vehicles, because suppose you're on the road and a car is honking, so of course you're not going to like it and it'll be irritating to the ears. So that can be termed as noise. And some sorts of machines in factories can also the sound from those machines can also be termed as noise. Now we learn the different sources of sound. So the first one is tuning fork. I'm sure you don't know what this term is. So a tuning fork is basically this thing in this picture right here. So this thing is the stem of the tuning fork. These two branches are termed as the prongs of the tuning fork. When this tuning fork is struck on a rubber pad or a table, it produces some sort of vibrations. Now, these vibrations are very similar to those vibrations that are produced by musical instruments. Can be seen here, these vibrations are those. So the second source of sound is our musical instruments. We already learned musical instruments. Now let's go into the details of these. So guitar, drums, and flutes. So in guitar, how is sound produced? We know that sound is produced through vibrations. So in guitar, when we plug the individual strings, they vibrate and therefore they produce sound. In a drum, this in this picture, we can see that this white sheet is stretched on the circular surface, right? So when a drummer bangs his drumsticks on these circular sheets, these sheets vibrate and therefore they produce sound. In a flute, what is put into vibrations? We know that in a guitar, strings are there, and drum, this circular sheet is there. So what is there in a flute? In flute, it is the air inside the flute that is put into vibrations. Lastly, we have human sound produced by voice box through vibration of vocal cords. So if you think that we aren't really producing any vibrations, so just put your hand on your voice box over here and talk, and you'll realize that there are vibrations that are taking place of your vocal cords. So as can be seen in this picture over here, these are the vocal cords we have. When these vocal cords are put into vibrations by our voice box, then we are able to produce sound, and it's termed as human sound. And it is obviously a source of sound. It's the most popular source of sound. Reflection of sound. Now we already know that when light strikes a certain surface like this, it gets reflected and comes back into our eyes or wherever. So sound follows a very similar property. Actually, sound follows the same property. Can be seen over here. There's some surface like concrete or steel. There's a sound wave that strikes it like this and comes back like this. So just like light, when sound travels through a medium, it also gets reflected. Now we already know that sound needs a medium for its propagation. So when sound travels through a medium and strikes the surface, it gets reflected. Sound waves get reflected best from hard, smooth surfaces like concrete and steel, as can be seen in this picture. Now we'll come lastly to this very important topic called echo. So I'm sure you've heard this term before, echo. Like, what is it exactly? So the most common example people associate with echo is a person at the top of a hill or a mountain that screams something like hello, and they get back another hello. Like, it is perceived as someone else is somewhere else on another cliff or something that is screaming back a hello. But that is completely untrue. What is true is that this original hello that this person, suppose this person has screamed, then that sound wave goes like this, strikes a mountain or a hill, wherever that person is, and comes back. Now, this coming back is due to the reflection of sound. So, what comes back is called as the reflected sound or an echo. I repeat, this reflected sound is called an echo. So, an echo is produced when two distinct sounds. Now, this word distinct is very important here because there needs to be a specific time gap between the original hello and the reflected hello for a person to distinguish between these two sounds. So, an echo is produced when two distinct sounds are heard. First one being her screaming hello, the second one is the hello that returns. An echo is produced when two distinct sounds are heard due to reflection of sound from a hard or smooth surface. Here we can note that a hill or a mountain is a hard surface. One of these is the original sound, and second is the reflected sound. We will find out how to calculate the minimum distance required for an echo to be heard in the next session. I'm sure you'll have many questions on this topic, like how much time has to be between the original and the final sound, and how much distance there has to be between two objects to hear an echo. Why don't we hear an echo in our own room? There is a reason for that, which we will learn in part 3. So stay tuned. Thank you. This was the end of Sound Part 2. I'm looking forward to meeting you all in Part 3 and finishing off this chapter and making you all understand the beautiful chapter of sound. Thank you. I hope you all understood everything. Even if you all didn't, it's fine. I'll explain it again if you want. Thank you.